Welcome back to Build First, the Authors Foundation podcast. I'm Paula Banks, and this is the show for authors who are done guessing and ready to build something that actually holds weight. I'm glad you're here. Now let's get into it. So we made it to the end of season 1, the finale. And if you've been here since episode 1, thank you. Thank you for showing up and for supporting the podcast. So in this episode, I want to talk about something that I never said at the start of the season. And that is, I had never done a podcast before this one. Now, I have been guest on podcasts, but I've never been the host or the one putting everything together. So I had no experience and no roadmap to follow. But when I decided that I was really going to do it, I went straight to the framework. The same one that I've been teaching you, the one that I have been talking about all season. I used the 5 pillars to build the foundation for this show before I even hit record. Now, I didn't have it all figured out. I just trusted the process enough to follow it anyway. And that's the full circle moment that I want to leave you with. Everything that I taught this season, I was living it at the same time. And quitting wasn't on the table. What wasn't settled was whether anyone would listen. Now, I made peace with that early because I told myself if one person tunes in and gets something from it, that's enough. That is worth building. And that's what I did. So the first stop was pillar 1, positioning. So before I could record a single episode, I had to decide who this podcast was for. Who was my ideal listener? What did they need that they weren't getting anywhere else? That decision was going to shape everything. The tone, the topics I spoke about, the way I talked to you in every episode, because without it, nothing could move forward. Once that was in place, I went on to pillar 2, which was my platform. Now, the podcast needed a home base, somewhere where people could go to understand what the show was about and why it existed. And it couldn't just be a Spotify profile. It had to be a real destination that I owned and controlled with a clear next step for anyone who found it. Next up was pillar 3, the product pathway. Where was I directing listeners after episode ended? I was directing them to the author reality check assessment, the Build First book, and the Build First workbook. Now, this was a product pathway that could take a listener from curious to committed, because without that, every episode would have been a conversation that literally went nowhere. Next was pillar 4, was process. And I think this was one of the most important steps for building the foundation, is because I was new to creating a recording workflow. So that included the editing, the show notes, the scheduling. All of it had to be in a place so that the podcast could keep running without me reinventing the wheel every single week. And then finally, we got to pillar 5, promotion. Now, by the time I got to this pillar, I had everything in place. The home base, the product pathway, a process, and now promotion has something to send people to. Now, I didn't know if any of this was going to work. I didn't know if anyone would listen, but the foundation was built anyway. So that is what I want for you. Not a guarantee that everything is going to go exactly as planned, but a foundation solid enough that when visibility starts to come, whether it's 10 listeners or 10,000, a launch that explodes or one that starts quietly, something is there to hold it. And here's what I know about the people who made it to episode 10. You didn't stumble here by accident. You're here because something in you already knows it's time to build or rebuild or finally finish what you started. So let me speak directly to where you are right now. So there are 3 kinds of authors that are listening. The first one is the author who hasn't launched yet. This season landed at the right time. So now you need to slow down long enough to build what your launch deserves. Go back through the 5 pillars and ask yourself honestly where your gaps are. Fill those gaps before you promote. The launch you want is on the other side of that work. The next author is the one who is in mid-launch or just came out of one, and it's not too late. You can build the foundation while you're in motion. Some of the clearest buildings happens after a launch. The last author is the one who is rebuilding. So rebuilding is not starting over, it's additive. Everything that you've already done is still there. You're adding what was missing. That's a very different thing from going back to zero. So whoever you are, the work is the same. Build first, then let visibility do its job. So if this season gave you clarity and you're ready to build first, why authors build backwards, and how to fix it is the complete blueprint. every pillar, the full framework with the workbook to walk you through step by step. And if you want to know exactly where to start, the free author reality check will tell you in less than 5 minutes, and that link is in the show notes. So that is a wrap for season 1. 10 episodes, 5 pillars, 1 framework, 1 podcast built the same way I'm asking you to build. If this season added value to your author journey, please share it with the author in your circle who needs to hear it, because that is how we're going to build this community, 1 person at a time. And season 2 will drop on July 7th. So follow us on Instagram or join the email list to be the first to know when it drops. I am Paula Banks, and again, build first, then let visibility do its job. I will see you in season 2.